house. Hi, Andrea. Welcome. And hi, everybody. I see someone joined in the last few minutes. I am very sorry. We started the event and the streaming as planned at 11 Central European Time or 6 p.m. China time. But we had technical issues a couple of minutes ago. In Shanghai, they're trying to solve them. And I ask you to please have a little bit of patience and hold on for a few more minutes if you can. I will give you updates as soon as possible. I see there's a PowerPoint that is on our screen. So I hope this means that we can quickly move on and continue.
All right, thanks. Thanks a lot. I just want to say hi as well. It's fine.
Hi,
Thanks.
hi, Andrea. Thanks for joining. Yeah, very well. And I can also see the PowerPoint on the screen. Sesión histórica de protocolo notariales. Yeah. Yes, Sandra, we hear you very well. Yeah, yeah. Dr. Liu Jie is connected. He's already sharing his PPT. So I think he should be ready to start his presentation.
So you can hear me, is right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Hi, everyone. It's a big honor for me to join this fantastic night. So I'm going to show a little bit about my research on soft material for heart challenge. So the first one is background of soft material. So if you guys are not very familiar with this one, so there's a lot of good examples in our daily life, like the gels, elastomers for tiles, and plastic, surfactant, any kind of soft material has been used, and you can find everywhere in our daily life. And also this terms was brought up by 2 Nobel Prize laureates, so it's very famous. And also you can find this kind of soft material in our daily life. For example, our food, clothes, transport, and medicine, a lot of things has been involved. And also even our human body is also made of soft materials. So example, our tissues, organs, except the teeth and bones. So the human body is also made of soft materials. So that's why a lot of advanced human body technology, like the wearable device or even like the brain machine tissue, are also exploiting soft material to for recording the human body signals for any kind of disease curing and other technology. So the research is we are targeting to solve is the big mismatch between the human body and the machines. That we know, like our human body are soft, weight, and also living. But for most of the electronics or machines, they are based on metals, plastic, ceramics. They are rigid and brittle, and also there's no life. So that's why there's a big mismatch between these two. And then that's why we are targeting to develop this kind of new soft material to build this, to solve this mismatch. So that's what we are doing. And the research in my group is trying to develop functional soft material technology to merge the human and machines. So it will involve 3 aspects, either the soft material design and manufacturing, and also the interfacial issues between these two. And the final target is to use these this material for the human technology, either for sensing or biomedical engineering or wearable device, whatever. So all these two design are targeted for this final application. So today I'm going to show a little bit about this part for the material part, and also some good example to show how this material can be used for this human technology. So the first part is about the hydrogel. So hydrogel is also part of the soft material. You can find it every day, like it's between elastic solid and liquid. So there's are good examples, either like the pudding and noodles, and also contact lens. There's a lot of things there. And also because it's show of high similarity with our human body in both the composition, biological, chemical, mechanical, and physiological similarity. That's why hydrogels has been used for this human body technology. But the challenge is like, so as we know, for most of the diaper and edible jellos are all brittle, and it cannot be used for any kind of engineering material. That's why one part of our research is trying to develop this kind of soft material similar to our human body. For example, the tissues our muscles is very tough, strong, and elastic. So that's a good example. And why it's very tough is because of the protein inside is kind of tightening that can reversible folding and unfolding. That's why it gives this kind of high toughness and elasticity. So when I was in Cambridge, we are working on kind of chemistry, and then we are thinking if we can use this kind of chemistry to mimic this dynamic folding, unfolding of the proteins. And then so in that case, you can, when there's a force loaded on the material, can dynamic deassociate this complex, and then they can dissipate the energy. When the load is removed, they can form it back again. So you can have this kind of reversible complexation and also high toughness. So that's what we see. For example, you can see here, this gel can be stretched over 100 times of the original length. That's because during the stretching, this dynamic interaction can deassociate. That's why there's no localization of the force, so it will not break the material. And also when you introduce a notch inside this gel, so you can also see it can be straight over almost 50 times because this is not insensitive. The reason is when you have this kind of chemical crosslinks, the localization of the force will be concentrated on few single chains, so it can very easy to break. So that you can have a lot of example in our life. But once you have this kind of sacrificial bond, you can have a large area of this energy dissipation. That's why you will not fracture. So you can be straight over 50 times. That's very high top enough. And also due to the dynamic incense, so this sample can be caught and also self-heal very quickly. So you can see this is how they crack, self-heal again. So after a few hours, it will recover again. So that's how it looks like our human tissues when there's caught, it can self-heal itself. But there's another challenge is when, for example, there are a lot of material like either tough or brittle. When there's a notch under a cyclic stretching or loading, you will quickly form this crack and then break very quickly. This we call like a fatigue fracture. So it means that it's not like one cycle, it means under multiple cycles. That's how a lot of fracture happen for our daily life materials. So that's why we care about this kind of long-term fracture. And you can see for our daily life, we are always living in a dynamic environment. For our heart is beating, and even our brain is also experiencing this kind of pulsation motion. So that's why a lot of materials, when you want to target for this human technology, have to be used under this kind of dynamic interaction. And we propose this kind of design for fatigue resistance. So it means like it can be more stable and has shown an extremely long lifetime. So we also learn from the nature. There's a lot of good examples showing extremely very fantastic fatigue resistant performance. For example, our cartilage is kind of soft material hydrogel, and it can sustain a peak of around 10 megapar for million cycles per year for our human body, and it doesn't fracture and also the fracture energy can reach over 1,000 joule per meter square. And also you can see the properties associated with the inner structure of this kind of crystalline domain. And then we are thinking if it's possible, if we can design this kind of hydrogen material with high crystalline domain. So it means like the crack can very easily fracture amorphous chain, but when there's a crystal, it will be pinned very easily. So that's what we propose, and then we choose polyvinyl alcohol. It's kind of a commercial product, and it's similar to the polysaccharide for both the structure and also the biocompatibility. So it has been used for diapers and a lot of biomedical use. So we use this material as an example, and then we engineer the crystalline domain by either freeze-thaw, air dry, or something anneal. So this is the strategy to tune the crystallinity. And then we found like for low crystallinity, for the left side, you can see the fatigue threshold is like the energy needed to fracture material under prolonged cycles. The minimum energy is very low, it's 23 joule per meter square. But once you introduce the well-defined crystalline domains, the fatigue threshold can be increased over 50 times. So, and also we validated this energy by make a cut of this gel, and then you can cycle stretching for over 30,000 cycles, and then we prove there's no propagation of the notch. So it means like it's very super good, and also it's not insensitive, can be used for a very long time. And we also found like by engineering the fiber structure, like the muscle structure, like this preferentially aligned structure, it can also be used. So and then I'm going to show a very good example to show why we need this kind of fatigue-resistant hydrogel and why this property is important. So there's a strategy proposed by Robert Langer, is a professor from MIT, when for this kind of a long-term drug release. So the big challenge for the patient is like sometimes you forget to take the pills. So if it's possible to for us to, if there's a kind of capsule, you can stay inside and then give this kind of sustainable drug release. So so you don't have to take pills every day or like every few hours. That can be a very good solution. But a lot of hydrogel or like soft material, when they are posed inside your stomach, it has to suppose to this kind of object to this long-term mechanical shearings and also high acid conditions. So a lot of the submaterial fracture and break, so you will not get this concept, it doesn't work. But what we do is like, so we use these fatigue resistant hydrogels. For example, we can something similar to this pufferfish. So when it gets attacked, it will swallow the waters very quickly. So in few seconds, the volume can increase by 100 times. So what we do is like we put this kind of water absorbable particle inside this kind of fatigue resistant hydrogel. So once you put inside the water, it can swallow by 100 times within few 10 minutes. So in that case, if you take a small pills and when it reaches your stomach, it will swallowed very quickly. So you were stuck inside. So this is kind of a non-invasive way. So you don't have to take any surgeries. And here is the pictures taken with a pig model. So you can see this hydrogel device can stay inside the stomach for over 1 month without fracture, and it's still there very stable. And also we put temperature sensors there, so you can see the fluctuation or the record of the temperature variation. The fluctuation is related to when the pig is taking meals. So it means this is a very good way to report their daily behaviors. Of course, you can change for other sensors and always record a lot of different signals, and also you can control the release.
Yeah, I see Liu Ji is back. He froze for a moment.
So this is the last slides. I show how this kind of design can be used for this kind of human technology, and that's all of my presentation. I'm very happy to take a few questions if there are some short questions there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You mean not very clear. So which kind of technology, commercial one, is right? Yes. You mean for this polymers, right? Or this hydrogel is the material is commercial one, so you can very easy to purchase online. And the challenge is how you can fabricate or like engineer this commercial polymer and then make a gel and impart this gel with this fatigue resistant property. That's something different. Yeah. The technology is, the material is a commercial one, is not for something special. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Not really. It's a super long question. I didn't really get because the signal is not very good. So okay. Yeah. Okay, thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
much. So, hi everybody. Hi, Haldor. So we're taking a short break. We will start in 15 minutes. We still have 4 speakers to go, and 3 of them they will be presenting from different parts of China and of Europe, and then we will conclude to a very interesting presentation on site in Shanghai. And I think that with the online audience especially, this could be a good opportunity to collect some questions or some comments if there's any about the presentation that we're already done. So if you have any questions, we might try to direct them to the speakers later at the end of the other presentations. And in case there is not enough time, just maybe direct them by email and find another opportunity for your answers to arrive. So if anyone has any questions or comments, they are very welcome. In case I can, you can unmute yourself to ask a question, or maybe use the chat box to do that. I think there is no questions, or if they arrive later, they're also welcome. We have 10 minutes until the next speaker, and so we can all take a short break. I will just maybe say a couple of words about the speakers to come. So those of you guys who don't have the agenda on your site knows what's about to going on. So first we're going to have an Italian researcher, Ivan Cardillo, who is a professor in comparative law in Wuhan, and if I'm not mistaken is now also in Italy, where he's visiting professor at Trinity University, and he will talk about Chinese legal culture. Then we will move to Xi'an, where we have Gaoxia, and she will have a presentation about antigen in autoimmune diabetes. So we move again to immunology, biochemistry, and molecular biology. Then another online speaker who is going to be connected from Germany. He's Sven Gunther, who is professor at Northeast Normal University, so in the north of China, in Changchun. And he's now going to connect with us from Germany to talk about building digital ancient studies, as his field of research is that of the history of ancient civilizations. And then last but not least, we will conclude with the Dutch researcher who is now in Shanghai, because he's teaching us at the Shanghai East China Normal University in the area of international studies, and he will introduce especially his recently published book that was published last week, and is entitled Unpacking EU Policy Making Towards China. So how member states and institutions shape their China economic policy. I think that is also going to be very interesting, and the book is probably a very interesting read. So stay with us, we will start again in less than 10 minutes.
everybody awake, sort of. I asked a couple of the boys in the band to drop over too.
There's a peeping Tom sat outside my window. He's been there for days, and now it's only gotten on to Sunday, and I think it's time to play. 'Cause there is nothing more that I like than to be seen. Open up your eyes real wide, 'cause peeping Tom, I got a big surprise. So I slide across the hood, and what do I see? Sure as hell the peeping Tom is looking at me. So I simply accidentally, carelessly dropped my dressing gown for him to see. So peeping Tom, keep on looking at me. Peeping Tom, tell me, what do you see? What do you see? What do you see? What do you see? What do you see?
Anything can happen. Watch. Down there! Filthy with fun!
I gotta get the date, fall to her again. Always I gotta get the date, fall to her again.
So hi everybody, the break is almost finished. So also in Shanghai, everybody will gather again around the projector screen where they're gonna watch especially our presentations that will come online in the second part of the evening in Shanghai and of the afternoon, I would say, here in Central Europe. So let's wait a couple of minutes. Algar will gather everybody, and so when we have also his okay, everybody is ready also in Shanghai, then we will immediately start with our first speaker.
Don't mean a thing if you ain't got the swing.
It don't mean a thing. All you gotta do is sing.
Hi Ivan.
There's no difference if it's sweet or hot.
Hi, Anna.
Just give that bit of
Hi, I can see you in a very nice environment with trophies in your back.
Yeah, they're the trophies of the last book of the University of Trento. Yes.
And you're connecting with us from Trento, am I right?
Yeah. Trento, Italy. Yes. Very sunny day today.
Okay, north of Italy, not very far from me, very far from our friends in Shanghai. But I think beginning of 2021, I hope that I will meet you on the other side, back to China.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yes, I adore. Yeah, no problem, no problem. Yeah, no problem at all. I'm in Italy, in my alma mater, in the University of Trento, where I am also visiting professor. So for this period of the year, I'm here a little bit while waiting to go back to China. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Aldo. Thank you, Anne. I'm very happy to be with you all this evening in China, this morning, late morning in Italy. And my presentation my research is exactly about what you are doing there, like communication, talking, exchanging experience. But I do that with the law. I am a professor of comparative law, and I deal basically with the comparison of Chinese and Western legal cultures. When I say legal cultures, I mean in general not only statutes, regulations, written regulations, but also the living law. So the law in action, the law as applied by the scholar, by judges, as studied by the scholars, as applied by lawyers, as experienced by the society. And what I try to do is trying to develop a communication between the two different legal cultures. It's exactly like the way we are doing today, what we are trying to do today, to connect people. I try to connect different legal cultures. Comparative law started during the Cold War in the 50s, and it's still subject to this taxonomy, the idea of the self and the other, the idea of the difference between systems and cultures, and the risk to overlaps category. So often we see people using Western concepts to describe Chinese legal culture and Chinese tradition, legal tradition, and in the same way I witness in China scholars trying to apply Chinese categories and concepts to the Western experience. So still in my perspective, this way of doing research still is settled on a binary system where the two different legal systems, the two different cultures, they are on a parallel lines, they never meet, and there is not really an integration between the two of them. So often the language also and the translation of the words is a way to measure the distance. So that's what we've been witnessing, like in many issues related to basic principle of laws. And this is why people in the comparative law circles, they often discuss about the so-called legal Orientalism. Orientalism is a word which comes from Said, a scholar who studied Orientalism and the possibility to understand different cultures, not only the Chinese culture, but also the African cultures, the Southern American cultures, and is somehow related with the colonial history of Western tradition, of the Western history. So I try to solve this problem by trying to settle a different methodology of research and try to absorb the difference, to absorb the other within the self, without doing so losing the characteristics of the other and of the self. So is what. So that's why I say it's a dialogue between the two different systems, because the real dialogue is when the two subjects discussing, talking, they agree on something and they find something in common. So translation is not anymore a way to find similarities within two different systems, two different languages, two different cultures, but should become a way of creating a community, a so-called communifying language. So to develop more our legal glossary and somehow to absorb, to create new words to characterize both the legal cultures. So in this way, what I try to do is to develop a try to put both Chinese and Western legal culture on the same, at the same level, trying to avoid the risk of settle all the time a kind of agenda for reforms and for development of a system. That's why when we talk about other systems, we always emphasize the need of reform. We need to reform the law. We need to improve the legal system. And this is a risk and is a consequence of a methodology which sees the law as a pure instrument. In my perspective, law instead is the mirror of a legal of a culture, of awareness, of a self-awareness of a country or a system in a specific time. That's what a famous Chinese scholar, Fei Xiaotong, what he was saying when he was talking about the need for the Chinese culture to develop a self-awareness. So where does this methodology lead us? Besides the building of a common language, it is important because we can in this way develop a comparison not on specific rules which might change, which are related with social and economic needs, which are very temporary, say they are not really able to characterize a culture. So this leads us in this other way, trying to look deeper and not only in the written laws, might help us to develop and to analyze a system of beliefs. So to reach the basic values which are fundamental for both legal traditions. In this way, we can understand better what is temporary in a culture and what is permanent in a culture that belongs to a civilization. And the way these values are interpreted during the, in a specific time, in a specific society, in a specific generation, and in specific circumstances. So that's when we say that we need to inherit the tradition. We see it as a political goal in Chinese legal system with the need to inherit the Confucian, the greatness of the Chinese civilization. That's what we feel in the Western legal traditions when we say that the laws are based on a common ground, which is the result of the history. My point is that we can avoid and overcome the overlapping of categories and the conflicts of the self and the other by looking at the traditions and find a common ground on shared values that might be applied and experienced in a different way. So this leads us to the last point, that is that different rules doesn't mean that there are conflicting values behind them. Maybe the rules are different simply because they reflect the specific needs of the society in a specific time, but maybe behind certain rules, there are shared values. And on those shared values, we can build a dialogue, a common dialogue, where we can finally reach a so-called mutual understanding. And this mutual understanding is ultimately what leads us to the possibility to build a friendship and a cooperation. And this is what is particularly needed in this particular time of our life. So the idea of finding a common ground and to agree on certain common values. And basically this is what I try to do, and using different skills, looking at the history of law, looking at comparative law and different methodological schools, looking at the theory of law, because the way we define the law, it's the way we affect our methodology. So in this case, if we want to overcome all these difficulties, we need to combine together history of law, comparative law methodologies, theory of law, because finally we need to reach a common understanding, which should be theorized in some way, and the particular use of language that should be a way to combine, to connect people, and not a way to measure the distance between civilizations. So all the translations, the people say translators also, the risk to misunderstanding is a concrete risk. So that's why I call for multiple skills, a combination of different skills within a scholar, within a research. So not only sinology as a field of language studies, but also the combination of different skills. So sinology plus philosophy, sinology plus law, plus history, plus theory of law. This might hopefully lead us to a communifying knowledge where we feel ourselves part of something bigger, but still coherent with our own identity, peculiar identity. So I stop here, and I thank again everybody, and I wish a good continuation. Thank you.
Hannah, you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, hi everybody. I was sharing Ivan's contacts. So since like he made a very interesting speech now using a PowerPoint, I think everybody could have a look and a glimpse of his email address as well as his WeChat. So thanks very much, Ivan. It was very interesting to listen to your presentation. And I think what's very interesting also of today is that we're moving from so very different topics. So there's food for thought for everybody. And so I think without further hesitation, we're just in time according to our schedule. I'm going to move to the next speaker of today. That is Gozia. I see she just connected her camera. She is connected from Xi'an, and in China she goes by Gao Xia, right? She's a professor of immunology and molecular biology, and her presentation will focus on her current work on antigens in the autoimmune diabetes. So I can also see your screen now. So Gozia, I will give the floor to you for your presentation.
Thank you, Anna, for the kind introduction. I would like, I'm really honored to be, part of a European Researchers Night. Can you hear me well?
Very well. We can hear you well, and we can see your PowerPoint.
Okay, great. I'm very happy. So yes, my research group is interested in MHC class 1 antigen presentation. MHC is short for major histocompatibility complex, and these are the molecules that are major effectors in adaptive immune response. Basically, their function is to present peptides, so antigen, to a cytotoxic T cell. And this will allow T cell to monitor for the presence of viruses or cancer, and then start swiftly immune response. Over the years, we have studied various aspects of MHC class 1 presentation. As you can appreciate, this is very complex process with very many elements involved. And we publish some papers. For today's talk, I will focus on the current project when we explore MHC class 1 antigen presentation in type 1 diabetes. So what is type 1 diabetes? This is a condition with the high blood sugar, uncontrolled high blood sugar, that is caused by the destruction of pancreatic beta cells. So patients cannot produce insulin and they will have high blood sugar. The destruction of pancreatic beta cell is caused by autoreactive cells, autoreactive immune cells. The main effectors are CD8 plus T cells. And so what is the connection of MHC class 1 molecules? So CD8 plus T cells can recognize pancreatic autoantigens presented by MHC class 1 molecules. Moreover, MHC class 1 molecules are are hyperexpressed, so there are very many of them on pancreatic beta cells, and there is a genetic association of certain MHC class 1 molecules to type 1 diabetes. So our aim is to explain this genetic predisposition of certain MHC class 1 molecules to type 1 diabetes. So first we look basically on published data about genetic association, and we look for the MHC class 1 molecules that will either increase the odds ratio of the disease or will be protective. And then we concentrate, so you can see I selected here the top 5 in both categories. As we can appreciate, one of MHC class 1 molecules, specifically B3906, increases the odds ratio of developing disease quite significantly. So we ask why this molecule will increase the risk so very much as compared to the others. So we decided to study it in details. We compare these MHC class 1 molecules to closely related but protective MHC class 1 molecules, B3801. And we perform comprehensive analysis, looking at the structure, looking at the dynamics, and looking at the cellular expression. So we have set up crystallization, in collaboration, we set up crystallization of both MHC class 1 molecules, so disease predisposing HLA B3906 and disease protective HLA B3801 with the same peptide that is derived from insulin, the main autoantigen in type 1 diabetes. And as you can appreciate, they differ by 8 residues, here depicted in blue and red. This is how MHC class 1 molecules usually look like, with a so-called heavy chain, beta 2M, and here in the top part there is peptide. So this part is called peptide binding groove when peptide binds. So both HLA B3906 and B3801, they have standard MHC class 1 fold, and if we look at the fold, they look very similar. So we zoom in and we look into peptide binding groove and the pockets in which peptide bind. Here is the distribution of the charges, and as we can appreciate, there is different distribution of charges between the protective molecule and predisposing, with predisposing molecule being more negatively charged inside the part when peptide binds. This indicates that both molecules can differ in the way they bind insulin-derived peptide. So we zoom in on the peptide and we found that indeed this is the case. Peptide that binds to MHC class 1 molecule highly associated to type 1 diabetes will bind deeper into peptide binding groove. This is depicted here in magenta, that the one that binds to the protective molecule. And it will form more interaction with peptide binding groove. This is caused by mostly 2 residues in MHC class 1 molecules at position 97. So this is either large arginine or much smaller threonine in the predisposing one. And the second residue is at position 74, tyrosine in the protective molecule and aspartate in the predisposing. So these two, basically this residue will define peptide positioning, but they will also define how neighboring residues in peptide binding groove are located. So we ask ourselves the question, so if there is changes in peptide binding, how, and these are defined but mostly 2 residues, so how this translated into dynamic changes between these molecules. To do this, we perform molecular dynamic simulation of MHC class 1 molecules with peptide and without peptide. We divided MHC class 1 into 3 regions. So this is region 1 with a peptide binding groove when N-terminal part of peptide binds, middle part, and C-terminal. And this was done with and without peptide. With peptide, both protective and predisposing molecule, they show, and we look for the dynamics. So we look for the difference in the, or changes in the distances between both helices. When peptide was bound, both complexes look pretty similar, with the highest mobility in the middle part. However, without the peptide, suddenly there is this enormous increase in the mobility in the middle and C-terminal part. And this mobility is much higher in the protective molecule than in the predisposing one. We also look into all the residues in peptide binding group that is depicted here, plus minus peptide, and we notice that for the predisposing allele, there will be almost no difference in the fluctuations, maybe a little bit in this part. So this is this part of the helix. However, for the protective residue, for the protective molecule, there is much more happening here, as we can appreciate. This data suggests that a type 1 diabetes predisposing molecule seems more stable in the presence, but also in the absence of peptide, that would probably allow it to bind broader spectrum of peptides, high affinity, but also low affinity peptides. So then we approach the question, what is the quality of peptide bound by both MHC class 1 molecules? We use published data sets, mass spec performed by Peter van Vellen and colleagues, and define the quality of peptides by NetMHC with NetMHC algorithm with division for the strong binders, weak binders, and no binders. And as we can appreciate, type 1 diabetes predisposing molecule has higher percentage of the peptides that do not bind or bind weakly. And also, although this is not significantly different, there is a higher value for dissociation constant. So these peptides that bind to B3906 seem overall less stable. So it seems that if type 1 diabetes predisposing molecule binds worse peptide, entire complex can have different properties. It can be less stable, can require longer folding, can also be degraded faster. To look for it, we perform a radioactive pulse chase that allows to pulse protein for the short period of time and then follow if it a lifetime. We use EndoF treatment that will cleave forms that are intracellular, and so it will allow us to differentiate the form that is intracellular, the lower one, versus the one that already progressed to the cell surface. It seems that both protective and predisposing allele, they will have similar export to the cell surface, so similar transport efficiency. However, when we look for the folding kinetics, it seems that type 1 diabetes predisposing allele, it will require longer time for its folding, and overall will also start to decrease earlier than the protective residue, the protective molecule, sorry. So this suggests that the molecule can be, the type 1 diabetes predisposing molecule can be less stable and probably degraded faster. To test for this, we look for the intracellular localization, and we can see that indeed there is a localization in CDC63 positive structure. So these are endosomes of a predisposing molecule, but not of the protective one. So we use different inhibitors and also temperature block to see whether we can rescue this phenotype. So temperature block allows to stabilize MHC class 1 molecules with low affinity peptides, and we stain it with a specific antibody. So here we can appreciate that the localization of MHC class 1 molecules like B3906 is similar as previously, cell surface and these dots that we know localizing the late endosomes. And then when we decrease temperature to 25 degrees, suddenly we lose this intracellular accumulation and we will have more pronounced cell surface and also better colocalization with HC10 antibody at the cell surface. So basically this leads us to the current working hypothesis that type 1 diabetes predisposing molecules, they bind peptides more strongly because they have, it seems that they have less flexible, so more stable peptide binding group. And as such, broader spectrum of peptide can bind to these molecules. So this results in efficient loading of the peptides, or I would say peptides that could also induce autoreactivity and lead to aberrant activation of CD8 plus T cells. This will lead to killing of pancreatic beta cells and also to the production of inflammatory cytokines. Inflammatory cytokines will increase MHC class I expression on pancreatic beta cells, and we think this will lead to signal amplification, so there will be more MHC class I molecules. Aberrant activation of CD8 plus T cell and killing of pancreatic beta cell will also lead to signal amplification when the remaining beta cells will have to produce more insulin to fulfill the needs of the body. This will lead to the ER stress in pancreatic beta cells that can affect MHC class I molecules folding and also peptide loading. Once there are around 10% of pancreatic beta cells left, a patient will progress to autoimmune diabetes. So currently we are testing the differences between type 1 diabetes predisposing and protective MHC class I molecules under ER stress condition and inflammatory conditions. So I would like to thank everyone involved in this work. And if you are interested in what we are doing, please contact me at the email address depicted below. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gozia. Thank you for sharing your current work. And I must say, I'm very happy, especially of having this our online speakers of today, because this is the opportunity to listen to the work of researchers who, if we were only having the event in Shanghai, wouldn't be able to join. So thank you very much. And if we have time at the end, we will get some questions. But I would like to quickly move to yet another country and yet another topic with Professor Sven Gunther. I see your PowerPoint is ready.
Yes.
He is normally based in Northeast Normal University, so north of China, Changchun. But I believe he's now connected from Göttingen in Germany, and he's going to talk about very different topic, ancient civilizations and ancient studies. So if I am right, I will just give the floor to you for your presentation, Sven.
Yes, thank you very much. And thanks for inviting me and giving me the opportunity to present my Institute for the History of Ancient Civilizations that was founded in 1984 already, here to the respected audience. I'm connecting from Göttingen, so you see there is also the need already to build digital ancient studies around the globe. And I can say that we are not aiming at comparative studies, but we really study the ancient Western civilizations from the ground. So Egyptology, ancient Near Eastern studies, classics, so Greek and Roman times, and Byzantine studies are included in our institute. And all our students have, of course, to learn the ancient languages as well as to the modern ones, normally we are somehow seen to be in an ivory tower, working on old texts and create no meaning and no impact on nowadays. But of course, we can give something to the contemporary times, since we do not only research and try to find out something or to explain something, but we really want to understand issues from the past, and of course with this also exemplarily understand issues of today. And as you see on the right side, looking at maps, this is our current project. So that the world is, of course, shaped by maps, by mappings, and the modern maps are as well unobjective or subjective as are the ancient ones, or those you see here from the Tabula Peutingeriana, a late antique map showing the whole Roman Empire and with Rome in the middle, and then this very strange idea of Mussolini in Rome of anchoring his new empire into the Roman Empire. So we started, in fact, to think from texts. So whether texts can really also create a map in our mind. So whether there is a semantic mapping in these texts available, and we choose to study Pliny the Elder, who is very much known also beyond ancient studies, even in sciences, for having produced a natural history in the 1st century AD, which comprises all then known natural phenomena. And he talks in the 36th book very much about marble, where marble is available, from which different kind of marbles there are, but he connects it with a luxury discourse, very prominent in the imperial times. And of course, he mentions very different places in Rome. And if you follow the text, you clearly get an idea that it is not just randomly organized, but he clearly wants to spot certain buildings and certain places that are in the memory of the Roman people and create a meaning by reading them in a row. So climbing up here in this example from the Forum Romanum up to the Palatine Hill, where of course the emperors settle and where of course then the most luxury is assembled, which can then easily be criticized by him. And we did this in a joint project together with the students from the Institute for Digital Humanities at the University of Göttingen and our institute, by looking not only at this text, but also by reading and analyzing these different text passages together, and then putting all this into a database and creating an interactive map in the end. And from this project, I just came and rushed in to this presentation here. So the Pliny project was conducted on several platforms. You see, we didn't only use Zoom like we do now, but also the main work was done in GatherTown, because this is an easily available platform for both Chinese and German students, where you can freely move around and organize your group work without being directed by the instructor. So you can really organize the groups by yourself. Other works were done via Omeka, where all the data were laid down and protected and also linked with each other to create the map. And of course, we had some resources from the university, so where we can put literature and so that wasn't available in the libraries or not accessible at the libraries at that point of time. So what we created was then what you see in the left corner, to a semantic map of Rome based on Pliny's text. And this was presented by the Chinese and German students jointly together. And what we basically aim at is to have a next seminar in the next semester on the Silk Road. So where we will join students from Trier University, from the University of Göttingen and of the University of Kassel and our institute, to really look from ancient to modern times how the Silk Road is conceptualized and of course anchored in the then current discourses of their time. Yes. Nevertheless, there are, of course, other projects going on in our institute. So you see two others that try to link Chinese students and researchers with German ones. The one is a project founded by the Volkswagen Foundation, where we create a mobile phone application as a kind of game where you have to deal with numismatics, so ancient coins, in easily accessible way for middle and high school students. And so you see here, you are the first one seeing the first screenshots of that here, where Anna is traveling in time back to ancient Egypt or ancient Rome and has to collect ancient coins and has, of course, to create an exhibition in the end, which should attract people. The better it is organized, the more people will join that. Anyway, we are also reflecting on these modern media. So we are studying how that influences our view and our perception of modern times, but also of ancient times. And so we are doing currently a project on Western classics in modern Chinese social media. So how that is shown, how that is somehow presented and also performed by many Chinese people, not only those related to the academic sphere. You see a very nice example that was in the chats a few days ago. So to compare Santa Claus with the dictator Salah, who murdered many senators and equestrians in the year 82 BC is, of course, maybe not feasible, but somehow it appears. And this also and already shows that we must be very careful when we put things together, compare things together, and we want to understand why this is done, and of course, how we as researchers can react to it and build also on this kind of ideas flowing around. We warmly invite you to join and discuss with us, especially at our digital iHack. So you can always visit it. You can just scan here the code, the WeChat QR code to enter it and to visit our platform, which we have established to communicate with students, researchers, and people around the world. There's also an advent calendar where you have to answer a quiz every day so that you really become a bit engaged in this. And we are very much happy to discuss with you about the future, not only of ancient studies, but really about how can we organize humanities research in a globalized way. And we very much look forward to discuss with you on that either today or anytime in our digital institute. Thank you very much.
Thanks to you for the interesting presentation. It's also nice to learn about this platform you have established. And thanks for being with us from Germany today. I hope we will have the chance to also meet in China for one of the coming events in 2021 when travel is easier. And so thank you. And I think we can move back to Shanghai. If our friends are still there, I think it's time for our last but not least speaker that is on site, if I'm not wrong. Right, Haldor? I just want to thank everybody. Thanks for those who spoke and participated online. And I'm really looking forward to the next event and hoping that more of us will be able to actually meet physically very soon in 2021. Thank you, Halder, for the coordination. And thank you all of you for staying and staying with us until so late.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening or have a good day, everybody.
So Anna, where are you currently? Are you in China or?
I'm in Italy. I'm in North Italy. Yes, yes. Also, well, it's a good time to be home.
Yeah, sure. But you also have lockdown.
Yes, especially in a few days just before the holidays, more restrictive measures, and I guess it's just the right way to go about it.
Yes.
And yeah, hopefully the vaccine will come soon. And I am supposed to be ready as soon as the situation allows.
Yeah, of course. It's always an issue now with traveling, the restrictions and quarantine. So where do you come from? From north of Italy or south?
Yeah, I'm from the north. I'm from the sadly well-known Bergamo.
Ah, I see. Yes, of course. It's a very nice place to be there. But yeah, it was heavily affected.
Especially at the very beginning in March, it was really very hard. That less anyway,
Yeah, my wife had a travel scholarship from the German Archaeological Institute, so we were traveling through Italy for some time. Also before the lockdown, she traveled there, and then her car was stuck in Rome until August. So yeah, we very much feel the people from Italy. I mean, the pictures we saw in the TV, and of course we have many friends in Italy. That it was really depressing and really affected us as well.
Yes, this time
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it can help at least a bit to connect with colleagues and so, and to have some other thoughts, you know.
And then here, from from a point of view, was very like the issues, and then we were forced to introduce more innovative ways to connect to researchers. The China goes back in Europe, so also tonight events are like the first experiment of finding.
Yes, of course. Yes, I think that went very well. I mean, it's always difficult with these hybrid events, how to manage this and to get the right balance to that. That's always an issue. I mean, many are discussing now, will this continue? Will we have always these hybrid conferences in the future also? These are very important ones one has to think about and how to conduct it in a meaningful way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, how to make it work more normal. That's better for the problem. So thank you very much for joining.
Yes.
Planning to return to China at some point in 2020?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it depends a bit on the situation, since all of these quarantine or so, that isn't somehow something that is desirable, I have to say. And basically, I will try to do it so that not the work of my students is somehow affected too much. So either not planning to go in semester holidays or something like this. And I mean, I really much miss also our library and all the facilities. And I mean, here you have also a library, so if it's not your own library that you have built up, then you cannot be as good as the one you have in life.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But on the other hand, it's good. So one of my students, she was stuck when the universities closed in March, and so she could use my flat because at that point of time I was in New Zealand. So now basically she can make her life in my flat. So it's also good for her to write her PhD thesis.
Right, yeah, we need to find like smart
solutions. Yes, of course. Now, I wish you all the best and have a really Merry Christmas and take care of you in these times. I mean, we also are in the lockdown, so we rarely go out here. So.
Yeah, thank you. Same to you. And let's keep in touch and hopefully.
Sure. And we will meet in Beijing, I think, very soon and in happy condition.
Very good. Merry Christmas. Thanks for
Merry Christmas to you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye-bye, everybody. I'm going to end the meeting now.
All right. There was a cat from Brooklyn by the name of Romeo. His folks, they came from Italy many years ago. One night he met young Geraldine, a dame from out of town. When Geraldine was dancing, she would bring the ballroom down. Wave those paws in the air, spin around like Greta Stab. Slip me fight if we can jive. That's Geraldine's routine. Lift those puppies off the ground, swing those hips and shake them down. It's rag, it's razz, it's snazzy jazz. It's Geraldine's routine. Wave those paws in the air, spin around like Greta Stab. Slip me fight if we can jive. That's Geraldine's routine. Lift those puppies off the ground, swing those hips and shake them down.
Let's hump, let's jump, let's stumpity bump.
It's Geraldine's routine. Mama was a stripper, so was Geraldine. She learned to strip on Mardi Gras way down in New Orleans. Now Romeo was wacky, he was dizzy for this dame. He learned to dance and got the chance to be Geraldine's new flame. Wave those paws in the air, spin around like Fred Astaire. Slip me five if we can jive. That's Geraldine's routine. Lift those puppies off the ground, swing those hips, shake them down. It's rad, it's magic jazz. It's Geraldine's routine. Wave those paws in the air, spin around like Fred Astaire. Slip me five if we can jive. That's Geraldine's routine. Lift those puppies off the ground, swing those hips and shake them down.
Let's hump, let's jump, let's stumpity bump.
It's Geraldine's routine. Okay, here she comes, ladies and gentlemen. Here comes Geraldine. Look out, guys. Shake that thing. Oh-ho! Wave those paws in the air, spin around like Fred Astaire. Slip me five if we can jive. That's Geraldine's routine. Lift those puppies off the ground, swing those hips and shake them down.
It's rad, it's magic jazz.
It's Geraldine's routine. Wave those paws in the air, spin around like Fred Astaire. Slip me five if we can jive. That's Geraldine's routine. Lift those puppies off the ground, swing those hips and shake them down.
Let's hump, let's jump, let's stumpity bump.
It's Geraldine's routine.
People laughing and dancing.